layers and layers and layers of information are coming out, not just because objects are being examined in detail, but also because new technologies can be applied to them.
Was the mask created for Tutankhamun or for someone else?
For more than 3,300 years, one of the most famous faces in human history has stared back at the world from behind solid gold. Millions of people have looked at it. Thousands of experts have studied it. But what if everyone has been looking at the wrong face? Imagine discovering that one of the greatest treasures ever found wasn't exactly what history claimed it was. Imagine learning that beneath layers of polished gold, hidden beneath a royal name recognized around the world, there might be another identity, one erased on purpose. It sounds like something straight out of a Hollywood movie. Yet over the past few years, a fascinating theory has been making headlines, fueled by new scanning technologies and fresh debates among researchers. But here's the important part. This is not an officially accepted historical conclusion. It is a controversial claim that many experts continue to debate. Even so, if the theory turns out to be true, it could rewrite one of the greatest archaeological discoveries of all time. So what exactly did researchers believe they found? Let's begin in the Egyptian desert. November 1922. British archaeologist Howard Carter carefully chipped a small opening into a sealed doorway inside the Valley of the Kings. For months his team had searched without success. Many believed the valley had already revealed all of its secrets. Then Carter peered through the tiny opening with nothing more than a candle. When asked if he could see anything, he famously replied, "Yes. Wonderful things." He wasn't exaggerating. Inside lay one of history's greatest archaeological discoveries. Golden furniture, magnificent statues, jeweled chariots, thousands of priceless treasures untouched for more than 3,000 years. But among everything inside that tomb, one object would become the symbol of ancient Egypt itself, the solid gold funerary mask of the young pharaoh Tutankhamun. Even today, people who have never studied Egyptian history instantly recognize that face. The mask weighs around 22 pounds, crafted from solid gold and decorated with precious stones including lapis lazuli, quartz, obsidian, and turquoise. To the ancient Egyptians, this wasn't simply artwork. Gold represented the flesh of the gods. The burial mask was believed to help the king's spirit recognize his body in the afterlife, ensuring his journey into eternity. For over a century, the world accepted this masterpiece as one of the greatest achievements of ancient craftsmanship. Case closed. Or so everyone believed. Because the closer researchers examined the mask, the more uncomfortable questions began to appear. Questions nobody could easily answer. Let's start with King Tut himself. Unlike many Egyptian rulers who spent years preparing enormous tombs, Tutankhamun died unexpectedly at around 19 years old. Most historians believe his death came suddenly, possibly following severe injuries or illness. That created a serious problem. Ancient Egyptian burial traditions were extremely strict. A pharaoh had to be mummified and buried within 70 days. Not 75. Not 80. Exactly 70. Now think about what that actually means. Within just 10 weeks, workers would have needed to prepare an entire royal burial, finish a tomb, create elaborate coffins, gather thousands of burial objects, complete countless religious ceremonies, and somehow produce one of the most sophisticated gold masks ever created. Many researchers began wondering, was that really possible? The tomb itself seemed unusually small for a king. Some paintings looked hurried. Certain burial objects appeared unfinished. Even stranger, several treasures inside didn't seem to have been originally made for Tutankhamun at all. Some statues showed different facial features. Other objects appeared to have names removed and replaced. Some jewelry even looked like it had originally belonged to a royal woman. Individually, none of these details proved anything. Together, they started raising eyebrows. Then attention shifted toward the mask itself. And this is where the mystery truly begins. Some Egyptologists noticed something unusual. The ears were pierced. That might not sound surprising today. But in ancient Egyptian royal art, adult male pharaohs were generally not shown wearing pierced ears on formal royal imagery. Children sometimes were. Women certainly were. But an adult king? That was highly unusual. Could it simply have been an artistic choice? Possibly. But that wasn't the only odd detail. Some researchers also believed the facial features looked unusually soft and delicate compared to other royal depictions of Tutankhamun. Others claimed the gold used on the face appeared to have a slightly different tone than the surrounding headdress. None of these observations proved the mask belonged to someone else. But together, they inspired a controversial theory. What if the mask had originally been created for another royal family member, and later modified after Tutankhamun's unexpected death? One name kept appearing again and again. Nefertiti, one of the most famous queens in history. Her painted bust remains one of the greatest masterpieces ever discovered. She was the wife of Pharaoh Akhenaten and a central figure during one of Egypt's most dramatic religious revolutions. Then, she vanished. Her confirmed tomb has never been found. Her mummy has never been conclusively identified. And her disappearance remains one of archaeology's greatest mysteries. Some historians have even suggested she may have briefly ruled Egypt as Pharaoh herself under another royal name before disappearing from the historical record. If that happened, could her burial equipment have already been prepared? And if King Tut died unexpectedly, could priests have reused part of her royal burial to meet the strict 70-day deadline? It was an intriguing idea. There was only one problem. Nobody could prove it. The mask was simply too valuable to damage. No one would ever allow archaeologists to cut into one of humanity's greatest treasures just to test a theory. So for decades, the debate went nowhere. The mystery remained locked beneath solid gold, until something completely unexpected happened. Ironically, it wasn't an archaeological discovery. It was an accident. One mistake inside a museum that shocked the entire world, and unexpectedly opened the door for scientists to examine King Tut's mask more closely than ever before. And that accident would eventually lead researchers toward one of the most controversial claims in modern Egyptology. The accident embarrassed the Egyptian Museum, but it also created an opportunity that researchers had waited decades for. During a routine cleaning, King Tut's famous golden mask was accidentally damaged. Its ceremonial braided beard snapped off. Instead of immediately calling expert conservators, museum staff reportedly panicked. They used a powerful industrial adhesive to glue the beard back into place. The repair was obvious, messy, and quickly became an international scandal. Experts from around the world criticized the restoration. Eventually, a team of professional conservators was brought in to repair the damage properly. But before beginning the restoration, one researcher had another idea. If the mask had to be carefully examined anyway, why not scan every millimeter of it? Not to prove a conspiracy, not to rewrite history, simply to understand how one of the world's greatest treasures had been made. Using advanced X-ray fluorescence technology, specialists analyzed the mask without damaging it. If the popular Nefertiti theory was correct, they expected to find evidence of major alterations. Different gold, hidden joints, signs that pieces had been attached later. Instead, the results appeared to support the traditional story. The gold composition looked remarkably consistent. The inscriptions carrying Tutankhamun's royal name showed no obvious signs of being carved over another name. Even the delicate stone inlays remained perfectly intact. To many experts, the debate was over. The mask belonged to Tutankhamun. Case closed. At least, for a while. Not everyone was convinced. Some scientists argued that X-ray technology, although incredibly powerful, still had limitations. After all, ancient Egyptian goldsmiths were among the greatest metalworkers the world has ever known. What if repairs had been performed using gold from the exact same source? What if erased inscriptions had been hammered flat instead of removed? What if modifications were so precise that traditional imaging simply couldn't detect them? Those questions remained unanswered. Then, years later, a completely different generation of scanning technology entered the discussion. Researchers began experimenting with newer non-destructive imaging methods capable of examining microscopic changes inside ancient metals. According to recent reports and online claims, one research team believed these newer scans revealed something unexpected. It's important to stress once again, These findings have not been officially accepted by the archaeological community and remain highly disputed. But the claims themselves captured worldwide attention. According to the theory, the scan suggested tiny structural changes beneath Tutankhamun's royal cartouche, the oval containing his name. Researchers claimed the gold in that specific area appeared to have been worked differently from the rest of the mask. Some even suggested this could indicate an earlier inscription had once existed beneath the visible one. Then came an even more controversial claim. The scans allegedly hinted that the pierced ears had not always looked the way they do today. According to supporters of the theory, microscopic differences inside the metal could indicate that the openings had been modified long ago. Again, these interpretations remain heavily debated. But if they were ever proven correct, the implications would be enormous. The biggest question was obvious. If Tutankhamun wasn't the original owner, then who was? Supporters of the theory point once again toward one woman, Nefertiti. Some historians believe she may have ruled Egypt briefly after Akhenaten's death under the throne name Nefertiti. That name has fascinated Egyptologists for decades because its exact owner is still debated. According to this controversial theory, the original royal name beneath the visible inscription may have belonged to that mysterious ruler. If true, it would suggest the burial mask had first been created for Nefertiti, or another ruler using that royal name, before being modified for Tutankhamun after his sudden death. It's an extraordinary idea. But extraordinary ideas require extraordinary evidence. And at this point, that evidence has not convinced the majority of Egyptologists. Many specialists argue there is simply not enough verified data to support such dramatic conclusions. Others point out that unusual features on the mask can be explained without assuming it belonged to someone else. The debate continues. Yet perhaps the most fascinating part of this story isn't whether the theory is ultimately right or wrong. It's what it teaches us about history. For decades, people believed every major mystery surrounding King Tut had already been solved. Then better technology arrived. Suddenly, old questions returned. Whether these latest claims survive scientific scrutiny or eventually disappear, they remind us that archaeology is constantly evolving. Every new scan, every excavation, every tiny fragment of evidence has the potential to challenge ideas that once seemed certain. History isn't frozen in time. It's rewritten whenever new evidence appears. Today, millions of visitors continue to admire Tutankhamun's magnificent golden mask. To most historians, it remains exactly what it has always been, the funerary mask of Egypt's famous boy king. But to others, it represents an unanswered mystery still waiting to be solved. Could the world's most recognizable face actually hide the legacy of another forgotten ruler? Or is this simply another fascinating theory that won't survive closer examination? Only future discoveries will tell. Until then, the mystery remains locked beneath nearly 3,300 years of gold. And perhaps that's what makes ancient Egypt so irresistible. Every answer creates another question. Every discovery uncovers another mystery. And somewhere beneath the desert sands, history may still be waiting to surprise us. So what do you think? Could King Tut's famous golden mask have originally belonged to someone else? Or do you believe the traditional explanation still makes the most sense? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And if you enjoy exploring history's greatest mysteries, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications because the next discovery might completely change everything we think we know.